What's up, guys? Welcome back to Deep Cut Books. Today we are going to look at Joseph Garber's Vertical Run. I got two covers for you. That's the original. This is the new one. This is the original. I just reviewed this again on Audible because I just happened to find it out of nowhere, which is awesome. It was still a ton of fun. They did a great job adapting it. Newer title, because after you see this video, of course, you're going to want to go find it. So I'll show you it again before we stop. But I will start out by fully admitting that I ignored this book for a long time. Published in 1995 when I graduated high school. Let me tell you why I ignored this for a long time. Vertical Run, basically a guy trapped in a tower with a bunch of people trying to kill him. We had Die Hard in 1988, Die Hard 2, 1990, Die Hard 3, 1995, and then I think like 6 more after that. Immaterial. Following Die Hard 2, we had Speed, the first one in 1994, and then we had Speed 2, Cruise Control in 1997. In between those, we had Steven Seagal doing Under Siege on a train. What was it? No, aircraft carrier. No, battleship. Under Siege, Steven Seagal as a chef/Navy SEAL in 1992, and then we had him on a train, I think, cooking for the president or something in 1995. I saw all those movies. Of course I did. We all did, right? Because once Die Hard came out, game changer. And the world was never the same because everybody wanted to do the exact same thing. Vertical Run, when I read the back of that book, I was like, okay, here's another Die Hard. So I just ignored it. I was not in the mood. I was a little burned out by the thousands of movies that copied Die Hard right after it came out, to include itself several times. But I'll tell you, I was wrong. I fully admit it. In the book, we've got David Elliott, he's not a CEO, he's a corporate officer for some consortium. David is about to have a very bad day at the office. Every morning, David goes to his 45th floor executive suite, takes those quiet moments before the workday begins, and that is right up until today. Because today, when he got to work after his run from his loft in Manhattan, the guy lives a pretty charmed life, and they do a great job of explaining it but they only give it about 3 pages before all hell breaks loose. So today, once David gets done with his run, gets to his office, gets to starting his coffee like he does every day, his boss walks in, aims a gun at him, and tries to murder him. For the rest of the day, David Elliott is trapped in a midtown tower with a team of professional mercenaries and everybody else he meets and knows trying to kill him. Everybody wants him dead by lunchtime, and nobody will tell him why. He can't figure it out either. The problem is they have to deal with David just the way David has to deal with them. Killer workday redefined, high stakes and whiplash paced drama plays out in an electrifying intense, and you'll never see The Office the same way again. True. Whereas, like I said, I thought we were looking at a carbon copy of Die Hard and all the other carbon copies that came after it. I was wrong. What we had in Vertical Run, Garber gave us, Garber, let's switch covers. Garber gave us a really decent, deep character in David Elliott. He's got a past, he's got a background that comes back and then serves him well, and it also, his past and background serves very well in the contrast and foil that he has with the main bad guy, John Ransom, as they face off over the course of the novel. Elliot also has a very sarcastic, fun, like devil or angel on his shoulder that caters his internal monologue throughout the book, which has the opportunity to add some levity to what is an absolutely horrible situation the character finds himself in. Coupled with that, Barber takes the premise, a relatively Die Hard-esque premise. He's stuck in the building. Everybody he knows, including his wife and kid, are trying to kill him. Builds that tension all the way through, and he does it at such a pace that you don't even realize that you're getting caught up in the plight of David Elliott until you're like halfway through and you actually stop and think about it and be like, there is no way this dude's getting out of this. It isn't like the usual, okay, we got dire straits here, but you can see 2 scenes down the road, he's got an easy off ramp, and it's going to be fine. It's going to be who is that in Marvel Endgame? Cap's about to lose it, and Falcon comes flying out of a wormhole because everybody saw that coming, because every movie we see today is pretty much a professional wrestling match. Barber didn't do that. Barber did a good job of taking this genre and taking the expected after all of the Die Hard-esque movies and kind of standing it on his head, and he leaves you guessing right up until the end. And actually the end, he has a great twist at the end that you can't make that call. You can't get it until you actually get to the end of the book. And so you start to wonder. You do get there and you're just like, there's no way this dude's making it out of this. So you wonder what then gets you trying to guess what's the author doing. How's he gonna wrap this up? I'm not gonna tell you how he wraps it up, and I'm not gonna tell you how Elliot may or may not survive the book. I'm not gonna tell you if there was a need for a sequel, because that would be the worst kind of spoiler, and I would never do that to you. Anyway, the author, Joseph Garber, born in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, moved around a lot. He was an Army brat, attended the University of Virginia, quit to join the U.S. Army, which is kind of cool. Eventually, did go back and finish college, which is also kind of cool because once you quit to join the Army, going back to college doesn't become such an easy thing. But he did eventually graduate from East Tennessee State University in 1968 as a philosopher, which I don't know how you monetize that. Anyway, Garber went into corporate America, working for AT&T and Booz Allen Hamilton for a decade while writing in his spare time, like all the rest of us do, because only like 1% of all authors in the world can actually feed themselves through their written word. So he's like the rest of us until Joe, this is what I love. I love the story. Joe suffers a prolonged illness, gets inspired, quits his job in the corporate drudgery, moves out to California, starts writing for Forbes as a journalist or a columnist, and then he has a manuscript that he wrote, which was nonfiction, seen by a literary agent who gives him the idea to rewrite it as a novel, which turns into his first novel, Rascal Money, gets the deal, and boom, escape velocity. He's a working writing author that can actually feed himself. The dream. I love that. He followed Rascal Money with Vertical Run, which built on Rascal Money and became an international bestseller. Congratulations, Joe. And it was bought by both Warner and John Peters in the 90s to be worked as a movie, which this book would have been fantastic as a movie. This would have been a great movie, but it was shelved. So you can't win them all. He did get the international bestseller, but then the movie deal took a dump, which happens. I'm actually amazed at how I lost it. I must shut off my pad. Hold on a second. There we go. Let's get back to the cover. I'm actually amazed how movies get made. If you ever actually have to get to see behind the scenes of how anything gets done on the big screen, you'd be. It's actually it's kind of like looking at an ant farm and trying to figure out who's in charge. It's amazing. Between the money and the people and all the locations and everything else they got to deal with, it's kind of nuts, and I'm glad I'm not a part of it. But I would like a movie deal if anybody's watching, so feel free to option any of my books. Just give me a call or DM me. I'm available. Right after you like and subscribe this channel, by the way. Anyway, Joe Garber wrote 2 more novels after Vertical Run before unfortunately dying of a heart attack in 2005. We're probably going to look at a couple more of his, probably going to look at Rascal Money, and we're definitely going to look at Whirlwind a little bit further down the road. But we're not going to stack authors as we get this thing started. Praise was, the critics loved Vertical Run. New York Times bestseller, a breathless read from USA Today. Some of the most ingenious military techno twists this side of Tom Clancy from the San Francisco Chronicle. Congratulations, Joe. They've compared you to Tom Clancy. That's funny. I had a conversation with a buddy of mine telling him about the list that I have that we're going to start with Deep Cut Books, and he suggests Without Remorse. And I have the question, does Without Remorse, or honestly, does any Tom Clancy novel count as a deep cut? Because despite the fact that Without Remorse came out in the 90s, it's Tom Clancy. It's kind of like saying like the Bible's a deep cut, because I just in my mind he's such an icon, and he's the reason everybody else in the thriller genre writes what they do. So I kind of wonder, would Without Remorse count as a deep cut, despite the fact that, despite its age and despite how horribly it was treated by Amazon when they made that terrible movie? That's a question I pose to you. I want to see it in the comments, and let me know, because Without Remorse is probably top 2 of my favorite reads of all time, and I'm probably going to do it anyway because it's my thing. But I want to hear your take. Is Tom Clancy, are there writers that are so iconic that there is no such thing as a deep cut because their books are just above everything else? Let me know. Publishers Weekly had a pretty good write-up as well. The pace is fast, the action constant, and the characters believable. All the stuff I told you of the why I picked up this book and loved it when I finally stopped ignoring it. The head mercenary Ransom, who I mentioned earlier, he's very well written. He's got a style to him, and he's got an odd sort of honor code that I find very interesting. But Garber keeps things simple yet detailed, highly satisfying, high concept mix of DOA and Die Hard. DOA was another movie from the 80s that they compare it to. Garber tightens the suspense screws mercilessly. One of the most invigorating thrillers of the summer. True. The critics really loved him. Let's see what the haters thought. So out of all the reviews on Amazon, the 1 stars created 3% of all reviews on Amazon. So let's see what the haters have to say. I could care less what kind of sheets or clock this guy has. 1 half page in, I knew I could never read such trite writing. Books recommended 5x5 by Random House, Publishers Weekly, and of course Amazon. Gonna ask for a refund. I don't know if this guy understood that the publisher's gonna pay people like Publishers Weekly and Amazon for those reviews and for all that good press. That's just the way economics work. I'm sorry. Next, I read it, but I didn't enjoy it. I grew wearing, not my word, their word, I think they meant weary, of the constant battle to stay alive. Why are you reading a thriller novel then if you're wearing of the constant battle to stay alive? The ending's predictable. No, it wasn't. Never want to read that kind of story again. Then don't. Go read a cozy, like cat-driven detective drama. Jesus. Next, very disappointing when such a promising plot gets such a poor handling. It's even more disappointing when the results get so many raves that the browsing suspense fan can't help spending the money to check it out. I think this reviewer wants to really say, I'm not mad at you, I'm just disappointed. And I understand. Disappointment is a fact of life. Here's a good one. This is original. Tell me if you've heard this before. The only reason I gave this book 1 star is because 0 stars was not an option. Yeah, okay. And then there's another one that talks about Die Hard and how people are copying Die Hard, and I honestly don't know how this guy has consumed media since, because everything is copied Die Hard. So I feel more sorry for that guy than anybody else. Yeah, 3%, 1%ers, haters, they're not that great. Publishers Weekly, the critics were fair, and the critics nailed it, just like I said in my opening. Crisp writing, really good action, really good tension, and it just keeps going and ramping up until the conclusion, which you're not going to guess. It was really good. I hope you give it another shot, and this is the new, this is the old. I think the old one's better, but that's just me. Anyway, that's it for Joe Garber's Vertical Run. We'll get to more of his later on down the road. Before I go, don't forget to like and subscribe my stuff. And if I may suggest, go check out Ty and Billy West as they chase Chinese spies through the streets of Indonesia in the hopes to recover a very delicate and important comms and communication control mechanism that has the capability to render the entire U.S. arsenal completely useless. Action, intense, tension, check, all of it. And the ending fight is baller, if I may say so myself. So can't wait to hear what you thought about Vertical Run. I really can't wait to hear what you think about Ty and Billy. And I can't wait to talk to you again. So let's do this again in like a week or so. All right.